can't tell you how nervous I am to jump on the scale right now.
Don't be.
What does it mean to be healthy, really? I've lived through many diet trends and I've tried a lot of them, only to find that I'm still confused with regards to what it is I should be eating. At this point in my life, I've learned what works for you may not work for me, and that it helps to listen to my body to see what it needs. But to be honest, after 30 years of living in this vessel, I'm not sure if I'm correctly interpreting the cues that my body is giving me. For example, if I'm craving something sweet, I eat it, but I may actually be craving something sweet because I'm tired and need rest. So instead of eating sugar, maybe I should be getting some sleep. See what I mean? There's a lot to figure out here. Clearly, I need an expert. I've never been to a dietitian before, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who finds this sort of thing intimidating. So if you're curious about what dietitians do and how they can help you from a health perspective, then let me introduce you to Ash.
Hey guys, welcome.
She's going to give you a behind-the-scenes look of what you can typically expect when you go to consult a dietitian.
So as a dietitian, I see a whole host of clients. It can be medical disorders, people really struggling with PCOS, diabetes, insulin resistance. It's also moms, pregnancy, navigating the world of not knowing what to do now that you're pregnant. And then just general lifestyle things, wanting to feel better, wanting to gain muscle mass or, shred those last few kgs in the gym. Everyone who walks through my door is individual and every case is so unique. So I love my job and I love what I do.
So it looks like you pretty much cater for anyone, whether they're in their mid-20s, early 30s, late 30s, and above. But let's say somebody comes in here and they've never been to a dietitian before. What's the first thing you would typically do with a new client?
So when a client comes through my door, the first thing I just want to do is get to know them a little bit better. Why did they come to see me? So this comprises of talking through their medical history, what runs through the family, what might be their current concerns or complaints, things that they just feel a bit of dis-ease with. I also really like to apply a holistic approach. I like to look at what is your sleep doing? What is your stress doing? How is your gut functioning? Because it's not only all about diet, it's about the holistic way of looking at a person.
So to understand correctly, it's just a bit of a conversation the first time, or do people jump on scales or get measured, or are there any tools, I guess, that you use?
Every consult starts with a conversation and then it leads to the measurements. What is going on in the body now? So I'll pop you on the in-body analysis. Okay, the in-body analysis machine shows me what your weight is, but it also tells me how much skeletal mass do you have? What is your bone mineral density? Where do you fall on the under, normal, or overweight range? It also shows you the distribution of muscle in your body between your arms, your abdomen, your legs, as well as fat. I always like to look at that and see where's the abdominal fat lying, because that's causing a lot of health concerns. It goes as far as to show the visceral fat, which is the fat that surrounds your organs. So it's not something that you may be able to see, but it's definitely something that affects your health.
It's interesting how the scale picks up how fat is distributed throughout your body. And I know in my 20s, I think I would have been more interested in how can I lose fat and hopefully get a six-pack. But now in my 30s, I'm more interested in building a body that's going to be healthy for the rest of my life. What should I be looking at this age, I guess?
I like to look at the fat distribution in the body because I want to see what's accumulating in the abdomen. And in most of my clients, the abdomen has most of the fat. Now, if you look at your trunk, the abdomen holds all your vital organs. So increased fat around the abdomen means there's increased pressure on your organs, and that leads to a whole host of things: PCOS, diabetes, your hypertension. And it may just be the root cause for a lot of the things that people might be suffering with.
At this point, Ash offered to do an in-body analysis of me, and while I was holding the camera, I was shaking at the idea of this.
Thinking what could be quite nice is to do an in-body analysis on you. So that's where you stand on the scale and, it brings up all your body composition, and then we can pull up the report here and have a look through it.
I haven't been on a scale since 2015, and my original intention with doing the filming was just to do an interview to find out what beginners can expect from their first time at a dietitian. I wasn't mentally prepared to go through the entire process myself, at least not this soon. I asked her if we could do some B-roll shots because I wasn't quite ready to look at my own numbers. So Ash showed me hers. And instead of numbers shaping your value as a female, these values highlighted muscle mass, fat mass, bone mass, hydration status, and basal metabolic rate, if I'm pronouncing any of those correctly. Understanding this would give me greater insight into my health going forward in life. So here I am today. I'm going to jump on the scale, and if I can be vulnerable for a moment, I'm not sure how the numbers are going to affect me mentally. As a woman, I think I'm safe to say that at some point for many of us, we've allowed the numbers on the scale to define us. I'm at a point in my life where I feel strong and mostly happy with my body. So even if this number is a lot higher than what I've seen in my life before, which I have an inkling it might be, I know this assessment will provide me with information that will help me make the best decisions going forward. Because it's clear to me how I treat my body in my 30s will affect the body I have going forward in life. All right, so Ash, I'm ready. Let's do this.
We're not going to jump on the scale right now. There's just a couple things we have to do first. All right, so first I just need your date of birth.
The 18th of May, 1991.
Okay, and then let's go and get your height. Okay, lean back, take a deep breath in and out. 171. All right.
171? No, they told us 173. 2 centimeters shorter of being a model.
I've never heard that in my life. All right, we registered. Now we're ready to go. You ready?
Come.
Take hold of this with your thumbs on the silver points. Okay. All right, and stay nice and still. It's gonna beep a couple times. Okay, don't worry about the number.
Okay.
All that this does is through the thumbs and through the feet pads, it sends bioelectrical impedances through the body, which react differently when they hit bone, muscle, fat, and water. That's where we get the body composition from.
I did this. So proud of me.
Okay, Marg, so this is your in-body report. Okay, there's a lot of numbers here. It breaks down your weight really nicely into components of your body. So wherever there's a bracket, that's the recommendation for the factors that we took in the beginning: your height, your age, and your gender. It's quite nicely specific. All right, your weight is 67.5, okay? But that's just one number. What is it made of? So if we start here with your total body water, you've got 41.2 liters of body water. Can you see that that's well above the recommendation?
Okay, so is that like a bad thing?
So that's a good thing.
Oh, it's a good thing. Okay.
Water is stored in muscle.
Okay.
So it's looking like you've got a really strong muscle mass. Your protein mass is 11.2 kgs, which is well above. The upper range for your stats is 10.2. So you're a kilogram above. So you can see that you actually carry a lot of muscle mass on your frame.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, I don't see it.
A lot of people have to try and lose fat and build muscle at the same time. For you, you've got muscle mass sitting there ready and waiting to be used. Your minerals, so your bone mineral density, the strength of your bones, is 3.98 kilograms. That's well above the upper range.
Does this mean I have bigger bones?
So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have bigger bones,
I do.
but you've got incredibly strong, dense bones. Dense bones means low risk for osteoporosis later in life, low risk for breaks, fractures. So a bone density that is strong you want. That's an ideal complex.
It's interesting that you say it falls within the normal range, because I think growing up you're always marketed, if you don't weigh 50 to 60, then you are fat.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the reason why I've just avoided a scale for so long is because seeing anything over 60 made me feel not normal. So it's interesting to see that I'm actually normal for my height.
And the interesting thing for you is that you actually carry a really high amount of muscle, which will always push your weight into a higher number than skinnier, less muscular friends.
Okay.
So it's no wonder that you've always felt towards the heavier side, because you carry more muscle, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are overweight.
Okay.
We've said your weight is in the normal range. Your skeletal muscle mass is well over the normal for your factors. And then your body fat mass is actually in the under range. So can you see there how you have a bit of a D shape?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the clients that I see have the convex of that, which is a C, which means they've got high fat, high weight with low muscle mass, which is quite a difficult composition to try and fix. But for you, the D shape is actually the ideal. And I'm not just saying this. All right. This is really impressive.
Actually, girl, behind the scenes. Okay, no, this is was good. Do you know what's interesting to me? Sorry to just interrupt. This has been so helpful and healthy because I think maybe I don't see myself the way that others see me. And, machines, got to trust them. They don't lie. So this has been somewhat of an awakening.
But you know what? And that's why I love doing it. We brought up in a society where there's a certain number that dictates your worth. But that doesn't mean anything. Where is your muscle? Where is your bone? Where is the fat? It shows you so much more. And clients get a real sense of self-worth after doing this process. And it's also really helpful when you're making changes and trying to track progress, because sometimes the number on the scale doesn't waver, because you might be gaining muscle mass and losing fat mass in the process. Those two things sort of cancel each other out on the scale. But doing something like this, you can see where it's moving, what's moving, and it really gives you the sense of achievement and accomplishment. Then we've got what the machine calls the obesity analysis. So it's your BMI. BMI, unfortunately, is a really unspecific indicator, which a lot of health assessments use as the be-all and end-all. But when you've got a set of machinery that can look beyond that, I always take those numbers as being more important than BMI. But in your case, your BMI is 23.1, which is within the normal range of 18.5 to 24.9. Often you'll see people with high muscle mass falling in the overweight category. It's not often that they're overweight, it's just that the muscle mass pushes the weight a little bit over. Your body fat percentage, which is a really nice factor to look at, is 16.5. So that's actually under the normal range for women. Normal range is 18 to 28 for females. Did you know you had a lower than normal body fat mass?
No, I didn't. But what is interesting is, I'm never quite sure how to perceive this, because wow, it sounds amazing, but again, when you hear, you even have a couple of percentages of fat, you could feel fat. Okay. So it's helpful again to see what the spectrum of normal is. Do you think there is perhaps a better percentage that I should aim for, or do you think that this is ideal for me with regards to setting myself up for success for the future?
So it depends on how you got to this body fat percentage. If you have a long history of restricting, cutting out certain carbs or food groups, finding yourself with an unhealthy relationship to food, then maybe this is a bit low. The recommendation is 18 to 28 for females. That's because between that range, your hormonal health is at its prime, your fertility, your ability to bear children is not impacted at all. When we have quite a low body fat percentage, we aren't able to do those things at the rate that we should be. So to be at 16.5 is not a scarily low number, and it's not a number you should be concerned about if you've got there in a healthy way. And this figure on the left-hand side shows you where your muscle is distributed in the body. So this is a really nice activity to do, especially if you didn't know that you carried a lot of muscle mass. So in your arms, you can actually see that you've got over the recommended amount of muscle in the arms.
It's because I've got babies. Let me guess which arm is stronger. Is it my right arm? Because I gained my child here with that.
It absolutely is your right arm. That's a mom arm, for sure.
That's my mom arm. The reason they're that close is because I got two.
Well, there we go. So it's always nice to see where you're more dominant and be able to try and even out that muscle mass. But you can see that your arms are actually really strong. So are your legs. You've got over the recommended amount of muscle for your age group in the legs. So I always encourage clients, whichever hand isn't dominant or is the weaker one, start to brush your teeth with that one. Start to try menial little tasks that you can handle that don't require too much skill with that one, just to encourage the use of it throughout the day. Same with the legs. Always take the first step with your left leg if it's weaker. Then in the trunk, we've got the normal amounts of muscle. So in no part of the body are we under. That's really good. You never want to have a very uneven distribution. Now we move to the segmental fat analysis. So in your arms, you've actually got under the recommended amount of fat. Did you know that?
No.
So I always like to check what image in your mind do you have of your body, because this can sometimes help to fix those little things that we overlook about ourselves. and the areas where we don't give ourselves grace. The legs also have under the recommended amount of fat. So you've got very muscular arms and legs with not a lot of fat on them.
That is so interesting.
You were so worried about this weigh-in, but there was no need to be. Okay. And then in the trunk, you've got the normal amount of fat as well. To be honest, after giving birth to 2 babies...
Don't give birth, we adopted.
Oh. What? Oh my gosh, okay. No wonder, I'm like, this is very uncommon. Alright, okay. Starting to make a bit more sense now. Like, you are definitely
Like you never gave birth at all.
Alright, in the stomach, you've got the normal amount of fat. The trunk is the most vital place to not carry excessive fat. All your organs are stored in the trunk. When we carry excess fat around the abdomen, we put pressure on our organs, and that leads to long-term effects like diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. It aggravates everything because it's putting pressure on our internal organs. Okay, so to have that normal amount of fat, really great. As you can see here, you've got an in-body score of 89 out of 100.
Okay.
Really, really good.
I mean, that's really nice to see.
Then this one's quite an important factor. Your basal metabolic rate, 1,500 calories. Do you know what basal metabolic rate is at all?
I don't understand calories, macros, micros, any of that stuff. It's something I want to learn more about, but it's also something that my husband says is a slippery slope and I shouldn't get too smart on. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, absolutely. I think for a client to find food freedom, which means you don't look at an apple and think about how many calories are in there, is the ultimate goal. A lot of people get very wrapped up in counting macros and calories, but it doesn't really result in health or well-being. But when we're talking about basal metabolic rate, I like to use it because that is how much energy your body uses at rest. That's not thinking. It's not being a mom. It's not cooking or cleaning or working or editing or filming. It's if you were lying in a coma, how much energy does your body need to just keep you alive? So yours is 1,500 calories. So when people are going on these 1,000-calorie challenges, 1,200 calorie diet plan as a one-size-fits-all approach, you can see how much it's starving your body because this is what you need at rest. Then you need to still multiply that by how much physical activity you're doing, how much exercise do you do, what does your lifestyle entail? And that's where you get a meal plan from. That's where you make sure that you're feeding your body enough nutrients. Okay, your visceral fat level, this is a really important factor for your health, is the fat that surrounds the organs. It's not a fat you can see or feel. So a lot of people are completely unaware that it even exists. The recommended amount is between 1 to 9, and yours is 4. Okay, smack bang in the middle there. Really, really good. So that is an ideal level for health. Anything above 9 means that there's a layer of fat surrounding the organs that's putting pressure on them. Okay, that's not what you want. But with the changes in lifestyle, eating, it slowly comes down. It's never irreversible. Basically, Margs, looking at this, you've got a brilliant body composition. You may not look in the mirror and see what you want to see or feel nervous about certain aspects, but from a point of health and well-being, really good body composition.
Wow, like I already mentioned earlier, this has just totally changed my perspective of how I see myself. And I think a lot of women could identify and relate to me, maybe seeing themselves differently than actually how they really look or how healthy they really are. But on that, I'm wondering if you could leave us with maybe 3 health or wellness tips that we could take with us into the new year.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there's so many things that I could say, but if we just had to condense it into 3, firstly, drink enough water.
What does that mean?
Okay, there's so many factors that you can consider. You can do it by body weight, you can do it by glasses, mils per day. I always say to my clients between 2 to 3 liters a day. 2 liters is on the smaller side, which is if it's not as hot outside, you're not doing a lot of physical activity or exercise in the day. 3 liters when it's hot, we're coming into summer now, okay, get your water in. If you're exercising, push it out. You can never have too much water unless there's a diseased condition going on. Secondly, focus on moving your body regularly. Too many people live a sedentary life. It might just be as simple as setting an alarm every 2 hours to get up from your desk and walk to the kitchen and walk back. Get yourself moving as frequently as possible. The recommendation is 150 minutes per week. I would say go ahead, exceed it. Make your lifestyle as physically active and move as frequently in different ways as you can. And then thirdly, practice a bit of mindfulness. What I see a lot with clients is they'll come in and I'll ask them, what did you eat yesterday? And they can't even think about it because they're eating while looking at their laptop, answering emails, mindless snacking while watching TV. Become mindful about what you're eating. And in that process, you'll be able to develop that relationship with food and also just be aware of what you're putting into your body. I would say those are my 3 top tips.
I'm someone who enjoys getting feedback and having my blind spots pointed out. But when it comes to my health, I think I've been a little ignorant just because of how the numbers on the scale have affected me in the past. A huge thank you to Ash from Thrive Dietitian for guiding me through this process. It was a valuable experience and it was helpful having her lead the way. But I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you've been to a dietitian before or if any of the things that were brought up in this video resonated with you. Then there's no better way of showing me that you enjoy this video than by giving me a thumbs up. Thank you very much. And consider subscribing if you'd like to join me and my community as we continue this process of getting our lives together before the new year. I'll see you tomorrow for the next video in the series. Take care. Bye.